Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode from Gwiglet. Today is a little special episode. We've now reached 150 subscribers, which is amazing. Really good. Really happy with that. Today I'm going to be taking a special look at the books in my life, particularly the books that I've read this year in 2020, and showing you some of the best ones I'd recommend. This year I've been really fortunate. Obviously it's been a testing and tough time for all of us, and I've managed to read way more than I normally would. I've read up to almost 25 books now and counting, and with this I'm just going to talk you through some of the best ones, the ones I enjoyed the most, and the ones I'd recommend to you. So I'm going to count down the top 5 books that I've read this year in 2020. Now it's the first time I've done anything like this, so it's going to be a little bit different, a little bit improvised, so apologies if I get anything wrong. Please let me know. Also, let me know in the comments below, what books have you read this year? What books do you like reading? What books do you read in general? Do you not read and are you looking for a book to read? Maybe one of the ones I talked to you today will be of enjoyment to you. Counting down from number 5, 5 is Red Shirts by John Scalzi. Now, I'd completely come across this from a recommendation from a colleague, and it was a brilliant book. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm very much into sort of sci-fi, dystopia, and this really hit home for me. The book is a parody of the kind of Star Trek universe. In it, the protagonist, Andrew Dahl, is assigned to a new ship, and he soon realizes that nobody wants to deal with the senior officers on the ship because they almost likely die. In keeping with the Star Trek lore, the Red Shirts are the crew members that famously get removed or killed first off. And he soon realizes, along with a number of his other workmates, that they are part of a poorly scripted, almost mock take of Star Trek itself. Take on something I'd never seen done before in such a way. I've really enjoyed it. It's a very humorous book. It's a very interesting take on sci-fi, and it's well worth a read, and I really recommend it to anybody, even for just something that's a light-hearted kind of take on the sci-fi genre. I really strongly encourage reading it. At number 4, I have Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. A really different take this time in terms of the books itself. Malcolm Gladwell, famous author in and of himself, and in this book he deals with the story of success. In this, the different ways success comes to us and the way success is shaped and formed. It's just really interesting, really fascinating take on it, because he breaks the whole book down into kind of 2 sections. Those 2 sections are opportunity and legacy, the idea of what opportunities we get handed to us or what opportunities can just come out of nowhere to us. But also the idea of legacy, so where do we come from? Like, where do we gain our successes, or where are our successes formed from? And how much of that is luck? How much of that is down to where we are or what time we are? One of the really interesting facts in the book talks about how most of the richest people that have ever existed were all born within roughly a 10-year period of each other. And it's just where society was shaped and formed, and they just happened to be born at the right time when the railroads were coming about, oil was coming about, and just really interesting, right down to the impact of the very month you're born in. Is one of the chapters deals with that. Again, I really recommend that as a read. Really made me think about just the way we operate and we value success in different ways. Really enjoyable read. At number 3 is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. Really interesting novel. I've been meaning to read this for quite some time, actually. With the nature of my work being what it is, it's quite hard to find the time. And I just said to myself this year, I'm going to find the time to try and do this, try and read more. As an English teacher, I have to, I really should read, and I should keep reading to encourage and inspire those I teach. And this was a wonderful novel. The novel is told from the perspective of Kathy H, and along with her friends Ruth and Tommy, we see them and their life and their times, particularly at the kind of elite, secluded school that's Hailsham, and how Hailsham affects them as students growing up. Kathy is a carer, and she ends up caring for her friends and people from Hailsham. It's slowly revealed to them how Hailsham is far less rose-tinted and enjoyable a place as they remember it. It has a gut-wrenching ending. It has a real shocking twist and turn plot points, and the narration of Kathy makes you feel both so many emotions, a range of emotions. The frustration, the kind of anger, the shock, certain reveal points in the novel, all really interesting parts that really build the plot and the narrative, leading to its ultimate conclusion, which I won't give too much away. If you've read this novel, leave a comment below and tell me what you thought of it, as well as the other books I've put on this list so far. So we're down to the last two now. Down to the last two, and in second was I went on a bit of a Stephen King run of books this year. I must have read probably in counting 4 or 5 of his novels, and really got into the way he writes, his plots. I'm very much a fan of not just sci-fi as I mentioned before, but dystopian, a kind of horror, but the kind of terror aspect of horror. Not just blood and guts, which comes with it, but certain ones that I read this year, like Cujo, have that. Whereas others like Reveal, while they do have that towards the end, without giving any spoilers away, much more on the kind of the psychological aspect of horror. Anyway, I went for one of his rare outings in kind of sci-fi dystopia, for want of a better term, and it's 11/22/63. It's a fantastic novel, an absolutely fantastic novel. I'm somewhat of a history nerd as well, so to read something that is detailing through the Kennedy assassination, and it's so meticulously researched by Stephen King here. Book I've been meaning to read for a long, long time. Details the life of Jake Epping. Jake Epping is an English teacher in Maine, and through a local contact, he finds a way to go back to the 50s, and his contact has been desperately trying to stop the Kennedy assassination. Obviously, in the belief that the Kennedy assassination has huge consequences on world politics and the way the world's shaped, and it is so like smoothly written and so easy to read through and just lose yourself in the plot and the characters and the time. King has this really, really excellent ability, in my opinion, to build this kind of world within the world of sort of late 50s, early 60s Americana, and it feels so believable. And then he also has these classic Stephen King traits of building in characters and references to previous novels, as he's very well known to do, and it just really builds to an excellent kind of conclusion. It's recently made into a TV series on Hulu, I believe. However, as I've always said to my students, the books are often always going to give you a more rewarding and rich and satisfying experience when compared to a film or TV adaptation. What TV series or books adaptations have you preferred in the past, or which ones do you think work well? Which ones do you think don't work well? Again, leave a comment below. And now we're down to number one. This is the book that's had the biggest impact on me of the ones I've read this year. This is the one that I would recommend to anyone and everyone, and it comes as quite of a surprise to myself, actually. The book itself is Tuesdays with Morrie by Mitch Albom. Now, I was given this as a birthday present back in April, and it's had a huge impact on myself. Mitch Albom is a writer, musician, a journalist, and he deals with a number of books that are kind of on a spiritual theme. Just have a quick Google search of him and you'll see there's a number of them. The 5 People You Meet in Heaven is a really famous one. In the book, Mitch Albom details how he reconnects with his former sociology teacher, Morrie Schwartz. And in this, he talks about how Morrie is terminally ill. He suffers from motor neurone disease, or what's known as Lou Gehrig's disease in America. And it details here how every Tuesday he would reconnect or talk to or meet up with his teacher and his former teacher, and the life that he's led, and the truisms and the things he still learns. But while it's been decades since he's been a student of his, he still learns from him. Nothing in terms of books or education. It's the education of life. It's how one grows up and how one deals with and learns about the world and themselves as well. It's a kind of really deeply spiritual book, actually, in terms of its connection. You obviously have the gut-wrenching end, which will come as no surprise. Obviously, Morrie has a terminal illness, and how in the face of a certain end, how Morrie and Mitch Albom kind of learn the kind of true value of life. Really touching and affecting book. It's such a quick read as well. I read it in the best part of a day, so I can't recommend this enough. If you haven't come across it before, give it a go. It is a deeply affecting book. You will not get through it without a few tears shed, but I do strongly recommend that, as well as the others I recommended today. So that was my top 5 countdown. The first time I've ever done something like that. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments below. Please let me know what books you've read this year, and let me know what ones you'd recommend to me to read for 2021. I'm aiming to do this as a monthly or bi-monthly content, so if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, please share with your friends, and I hope those recommendations have inspired you to maybe read something that you wouldn't necessarily have read before. And I hope you've all had a lovely festive season as well, and I very much appreciate all your support across all the platforms: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all of those. And please keep liking, sharing, subscribing. Thank you once again, and take care. All the very best, and until next time, take care and bye bye.